The space race was the result of a feud between the USSR and the USA's political ideas, with the US supporting capitalism, which enables companies to get their own money but can cause inequalities and problems within social classes, because eventually, some people will have jobs in businesses that do less well.
And the USSR is supporting communism and socialism, which allows everyone to have a share in the money, but doesn't allow those types of businesses, and can result in the government leaders taking too much because they have control over the money.
This feud was called the Cold War, and both countries wanted power, and they also wanted their political ideas to dominate. So they kept on getting more advanced technology and weapons. This led to the space race.
A competition to see which country had the superior space flight technology.
This competition is widely regarded to have started with the launch of the Soviet Union's Sputnik 1 in 1957, the first artificial satellite in space, and have ended either with the launch of the US's Apollo 11 on July 20th, 1969, which carried Neil Armstrong, Edwin Buzz Aldrin, and Neil Collins, and got the first human on the moon. Or some people believe that it ended in 1975. The space race between the United States versus the Soviet Union, the USSR, began in 1957 with the USSR putting the first satellite, Sputnik, into space. The United States will respond with a multi-billion-dollar investment into defeating the USSR into their race for space and space exploration.
Many social and civil rights leaders, like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., will be critical of the cost and the investment directed towards space instead of communities struggling with poverty. Although this might be a fair criticism, the technological advancements and scientific discoveries have proved to be worthy of the investment for the future of humankind. The space race and the money invested in it are important to human development and history because they bring a new type of exploration to Earth, space. Even though we still haven't been everywhere on Earth, all exploration have been on Earth because Earth is safe for humans, and we simply didn't have good enough technology.
It expanded the frontiers and boundaries of human exploration that before the start of the space race, we could not get to, as they were a long way from Earth and had far from good life conditions.
Thus, it connects to frontiers and places because outer space is a place that at the end of the space race, we could explore new places and there were achievements.
It also connects to people because it was people who broke these barriers, and many barriers were broken in space, including pioneers such as Katherine Johnson, who was an American mathematician who created new ways of using trajectory to help launch rockets.
Connecting to ideas which will now be discussed.
It connects to ideas because of the ideas that lead into space exploration. Also, the space race was an idea of pushing the boundaries of science to the limit.
These achievements not only helped with rocket design or exploration, but it also to mathematics and understanding how the human body reacts to certain changes in its environment.
Improving our medical fields. This also shows the thesis for our history fair project and how it helped with even our advancement of technology on Earth. It's certain that this country rode the first waves of the industrial revolutions, the first waves of modern invention, and the first wave of nuclear power. And this generation does not intend to founder in the backwash of the coming age of space. We mean to be a part of it. We mean to lead it. For the eyes of the world now look into space, the moon, and to the planets beyond. And we have vowed that we shall not see it governed by a hostile flag of conquest, but by a banner of freedom and peace.
We have vowed that we shall not see space filled with weapons of mass destruction, but with the instruments of knowledge and understanding. John F. Kennedy's Rice University speech.
This quote from one of John F. Kennedy's more famous speeches that he gave, in order to increase confidence and give his plan. Connects with our thesis because it shows that it wasn't just about gaining better space exploration. It was an important technological race in the Cold War.
The Soviet Union had made many firsts in the space race, and there were still the bigger picture in the Cold War.
He also talks about how they meant for it to be governed by a banner of freedom, indicating that he wants to take control over space, or at least have power over some of it.
This deals with the criticism of how it could create new weapons. And even though this may or may not be true, it does show good intention for the future.
Another area that suggests reasons why the U.S. would spend such a large amount of money on this is the middle line, which shows how the U.S. fell in a hurry to get to space first because of political pressure. This part describes This part describes how they want to get the knowledge first, or at least not last.
This is, as Kennedy says, what they meant to happen in the area when Kennedy talks about the banner of freedom. He might be alluding to the Cold War conflict as this speech was going on, as the U.S. has often called itself a free country because of its rights and its democratic government.
The space race would not only spread human exploration, but also capitalist ideas and government structure, making it important in political ways too.
So even though the space race had a primary focus on space, it was also a large part in political power.
Today's technology was greatly influenced by the space race.
This brought us quite a few things that we use today. Probably one of the most useful inventions created that now helping reduce climate change is the solar panel.
The first ever solar panel used in the space race was on the American satellite Vanguard 1 and had 6 solar panels. They were just 5 centimeters square and produced about 1 watt of energy. Vanguard 1 was released during the time of the space race in 1958.
But after Vanguard 1, solar panels were a key energy system for the space race. This was because there are no solar power plants or gas pumps in space, but there is solar energy from the sun, which solar panels can take in to get energy.
Success with solar cells led Soviet space scientist Yevgeny Fedorov to predict in 1958 solar batteries will ultimately become the main source of power in space. Events proved him right from the increase in the use of solar panels in space.
Today, we still use solar panels for space exploration, like how the International Space Station produces about 84 to 120 kilowatts.
Powering This chart shows how the space race affected computer memory, the top line, over time. This is because even though there isn't as much change in that area compared to another areas of time, there are still many millions less spent on megabytes of computer storage.
If there is less of a cost, then that likely means that storage is getting easier to create and that computers are getting more advanced.
Computer storage is important to how computers function, and it is important to how much people can use and create on a computer, making it easier to do projects, such as taking an essay on a computer.
There is also a steady change in computer memory cost. Although this could be just that they didn't have as many points where they knew the cost, but had information about certain areas, it could mean that there was a more steady progress.
Another thing to mention is that after this had happened, there was a lot of development for computer storage, and prices went down significantly, so the space race might have set up for new development on computers.
This also helps communities
The space race helped communities because computers help raise awareness of other people by having an increased access to information around the world.
Computers can also help or even be a basis for communities because people branch out to each other in ways that couldn't exist if computers hadn't been there.
One instance of this is the fact that there are many ways to communicate with others across long distances.
One example of using computers to help communities is the fact that during the COVID-19 pandemic, students at a number of schools could attend school virtually, using computers to better their education.
Also, all of this could not be possible if we were spending hundreds of millions of dollars on computer storage. Computers also help with charity, with many organizations getting funded online.
Also, the price of computer storage is going down. That means that more people and more varied communities can get good technology, promoting equality among people who have different amounts of money.
Computer storage is necessary for computers to function and compute, so the space race did help Earth, because it helped in developing computers and therefore helped people connect in a way that can never happen before computers. Our evidence about the space race and its achievements were all trying to prove how the space race was beneficial to science, technology, and engineering that jump-started and led society to the informational age.
All of our evidence together proves each argument for a thesis that tells how the space race was beneficial to both sides of the Cold War.
The space race was a potential time to rouse the public's confidence, but also a time of technological and medical advancements, as shown in evidence 1.
The inventions of the space race were incredibly astonishing for their time and helped the scientists and engineers of both sides of the space race progress even further during this time.
Computers were one of the many inventions of the space race. Even though the computer was invented before the space race, it became more advanced, making it more compact and reliable.
Computers during the space race also had a vital role in calculating launch courses and helping mission control back on Earth.
These pieces of evidence all prove how the space race was a monumental time that led humanity into a greater era. Yeah.